Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here you'll find a little insight into my textile and mixed media art practices, and it will be a little bit like dropping into my workroom and looking over my shoulder to see what I've got on the go at the moment. That's the plan. So what I'm doing today is I'm preparing for a new course that I'm going to be putting onto my Teachable school, and it's going to be a very short basic course on how to make your own sketchbooks, which is something I really like to do. I use sketchbooks a lot in my for various reasons. So you can see that I've got some that I've made here. This is a simple accordion concertina type one. So's this. It's very tiny. And the benefit with making your own sketchbooks is that you can make them any shape or size you like. For instance, this one, if I can get into it, is I often make covers for my sketchbooks, by the way, and that might be one of the things I talk about at some point. So you can see these pages are quite long and thin. This is a very simple sketchbook, just exploring circles, for instance. Most of my sketchbooks have a theme that, well, they start out having a theme. They don't necessarily end up that way. But you can choose the kind of paper that you use. For instance, this one's got bits of map, bits of old book. It's a bit like a junk journal, really, that you can either paint on or collage on, and so on. So the thing I'm focusing on today is a very simple concertina or accordion type book. Probably the easiest thing you can make. It's basically one single piece of card or paper. This one is about, I think about 200 GSM. It's not quite as thick as mixed media paper, but it's sturdy enough to stand up on its own. And there's really nothing simpler. It's basically a strip of paper that you fold that way, turn it over, fold it again, turn it over and fold it again, and turn it over and fold it again. So you end up with a thing that behaves like a book. You can turn its pages. And what I like about these is they're quite circular in how they behave. So you can open it like this, and it looks as if it has pages. And then when you get to the end, you just keep going. So by the time you get to this point, you're back at the beginning. So what I like to use these for is for things like short stories, or exploring a single kind of theme or motif, for instance. We're talking today about how to start, because you're faced with the terror of the blank page, which it frightens most people. Well, it can do. Some people are very brave and just go straight in, but I'm going to talk today about how I approach starting something from scratch, as I am here. So I started with this circular theme. I noticed that you can just flip through it and just keep going. So I thought it's kind of a thing in two halves, which I quite like that. A lot of my work, textile and mixed media, is about time, about the cyclical nature of time, about how things come round and come round again. And what I've decided for this is to do a kind of, I tell you what, I'll start here, because what I did first was, I often do this as well, actually, is cut out words and phrases from old poetry anthologies. And you can find poetry online. You can print it and cut it out if you don't want to be cutting up real actual books. Shock horror. But what I like to do is collect some words that I like, and then I like to arrange them into a kind of found poem. So I'm calling this one Day and Night a Duet, because of this sort of double-sided nature of this format of sketchbook. So on one half I've got afternoon descends, the day is so long and warm, the flowers glow with gold in the noonday sun, swallows play on the wing, as far as the clear horizons. Which to me suggests it's a long hot summer afternoon, isn't it? And then on the other side, I begin here with turn to the night, the globe of the moon in darkness shaped of trees, where stars do not heed us, so we dream spellbound, neath the big bare sky. Firstly, it sounds nice. My background, incidentally, has always been in literature and art. I did my first degree as a combined studies degree in art and English, and in my professional life, I've always taught English rather than art. It's only now really that I'm kind of giving into what I wanted to do all along, which is art full time. So there we go. So I've chosen some words, and then I've looked again at the book thing, and I've realised that we've got a front cover, we've got a double page spread, another double page spread, and another, and then by the time we get here, that's the front cover of the next one. So we've got 7 pages really, and which will pull out like that. Okay, so I've just sketched out on a scrap of paper both sides. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages, and I've looked at the words and phrases, and I've decided which words are going to go where. So I don't know where on the page they're going to go yet, but I know that that first phrase, afternoon descends, is going to go somewhere on this first page. So that will be the title page. Those words will be somewhere on there. I might probably up there, because descends means coming down, so I don't know yet. So I'm just basically sketching out what shape these pages are going to be, what kind of motifs I'm going to have on them. So for instance, gold in the noonday sun suggests to me a big golden sun on one of the pages, and flowers glow, and I'm thinking I may do big flowers on sort of expressive stalks here, and then and so on. And then for the other side, turn to the night will be on this. I can imagine the other side of this, so it'll be like the title of the second half. And then I've got the globe of the moon, so to kind of echo this big sun, I'm going to have a big moon here. In darkness shaped of trees is going to be something, maybe that shape. And then, you know, and so on. I've got a rough idea of what I'm going to put where. So we can put that to one side. So I'm just about ready to start sticking something down. If I can show you firstly some collage paper, I've got some bits, let me just move those words. I've got some bits of papers here, sorry for the rustling, which I've chosen in some nice summer colours. I tend to paint a lot of paper all at once, so I've got lots of colour to choose from. Some of these papers are lightweight Japanese papers, which you can buy them from Shepherds of London in the UK. I don't know where else you get them, but they paint really nicely. This is another one, and they're very nice to use in collage. And then for the second half, I've painted some darker, much darker colours in a range of sort of midnight darkness type shades. And I'm going to start with the second half because I don't know what that looks like yet. So sometimes you just have to start where you think you know what you're doing, which may not necessarily be the beginning. And what I'm doing so far is I've found this piece of it's actually black tissue paper with little sparkly dots in it, and it's the last piece of it that I've got, and for some reason I found it in the drawer. For some reason at some point I've pasted it to a piece of brown paper. Not sure why I did that, but I can use that as it is. It turns out to be more or less exactly the same, the right size. And then I've got some a bit of painted paper from this, just randomly painted with acrylic ink, I think, which I'm going to lay on there. And then again, I've torn a strip of some dark green paper, which I'm going to lay probably that way up on there. So I'm creating a kind of starry sky and a little sort of horizon landscape type thing down here. And then I've got a moon, which I've cut out of some painted paper, and I've covered it with a piece of this very beautiful Japanese paper. There's no affiliation, by the way. I know I keep saying Japanese paper, it's because I like it. Nobody's paying me, I'm not on any commission or anything. So I'm going to probably stick that there. And then I'm going to take the first phrase here, and I'm just thinking about where this moon's going to go. It doesn't really matter. Quite like it there, actually. You could put it there, and the word's there, or the word's there, or there. You've got lots of choices. I think possibly there. I quite like that. So I'm going to start cutting and pasting this. I've already cut it, haven't I? Just going to paste it. So cover your working surface. I'm just going to move some of this out of the way. And then I'm going to paste this down. I like to use these silicone brushes. Again, there's no affiliation. I'm just talking about what I like using. Nobody's paying me. Alas, if somebody wants to pay me, get in touch. There we go. And I'm using some matte gel medium to stick it down with. That's my, again, my glue of choice. You could use PVA or any other kind of craft glue, really. I'm just going to press that down on there. That's gone down quite nicely, and then this is going to go on there as well. And you could use glue stick actually for these small things. Little lightweight pieces can generally be stuck down with a glue stick for these, if it's just a sketchbook, and that's all it is. Of course, you know, we just have to remember this is just a sketchbook. Nothing irrevocable is going to happen here. I'm just going to move that up a bit because I want it up a bit more, actually. So make sure you can still see where that is, because I quite like this brown edge at the bottom. So there we are, that's quite nice. And then we're going to glue this moon down somewhere. Probably, oh, that's just picked up a bit of ink from my messy drop paper. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. I can either, I find if it bothers me too much, I'll either dab a bit of white paint over it or a bit more paper. You could easily cover that up like that. Or you can leave it as it is. And I think I'm going to stick that down there. And then we have, maybe I'll just do this on a clean bit this time. You know, in some of these videos you're just going to see me doing it wrong. But it doesn't matter. Right, there we go. So that's more or less as I imagined that first page. So then we're ready to open this out. And what we might do here is find something very dark. This is black tissue paper, which has a matte side and a shiny side. So we may just put that over there. We may use some sky like so. Or some darker sky. Actually, I quite like that. This is a colour catcher. It's the kind of thing you put in your washing machine to catch excess dye. And I use these when I dye thread. Get a really nice hand-dyed piece of paper out of it. So I think we might use that actually. If we cut that down to size. And then we need to be making a moon of some sorts, which I think this is a piece of black card, painted with white acrylic, applied with a palette knife. So that's why it looks sort of choppy. And I think I'm just going to try see what this looks like. I'm just drawing around the lid of something because it happens to be about the right size. And this is it's actually a quilter's pencil. It's chalk. It's got a chalk, well, not lead, but you know what I mean. And it's very good for drawing on dark surfaces. So I'm just going to cut this out, and we'll see what we get. When you're cutting a circle, it's easier to keep the scissors still and move the paper. I can see this has gone off a little bit. It's because I'm on camera and it makes you nervous, doesn't it? Well, you see, my generation didn't grow up with this whole selfies, videoing yourself culture. You know, we didn't even have computers when I was at school. Oh, nice. I like that. Sometimes it's a nice surprise. Yeah, so, you know, I much prefer being behind the camera than in front of it, so you're probably not ever going to see my face, but then why would you want to? And then I think we might, let's just move this up a bit, I think we might have something, we might have the moon on that side. And then we've got a phrase that says that in darkness shaped of trees. So I think we might have this dark green down here. And then I think we might just suggest some trees, just with a dark pencil. I might come back to that because that's I'm not seeing that yet. But I think that's what the next page is probably going to look like. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. So hopefully that has given some insight into maybe how to get started. So you don't need to use poetry if you're not a big fan of the poetic turn of phrase. You can write your own words if you want to. You can be inspired by song lyrics if that's what you like, or by maybe retelling a story that you already know. You don't have to use painted collage papers. You can use magazine pages, for instance, that you cut up. Whatever happens to be your style, or whatever your preference might be. And there we are. That's probably enough for today. So I hope you've enjoyed that little insight and this visit to my little workspace. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time.